The first question is, when is the best time to press the pitch button? Largely from a client side, but agents are going to have a point of view about this. And just to set the scene, there are times when a new client arrives and just pitches everything. There are times when a client pitches every single project. But more realistically, there are reasons when the market's changed, the business isn't doing so well, we're not going to keep doing the same gig, let's change. Actually, we need a new service. We need something, there's something we haven't got in our marketing roster. Or the relationship is over. So we have 4 folk on this. On the client side, we have Dominic Rowell, the big guy from VU. We have Jonathan Harmon from Royal Mail. And on the agency side, we have Ian Milner from Iris and Lee Thomas from Dare. Will you please stand up, please? Please stand up, please. Okay, please, yeah, okay. So I'm going to ask Dominic first. Have you all got mics? There were 2 down here. Dominic, to speak for 60 seconds on when do you think is the best time to press the pitch button?
Start with the story. I don't know how many of you saw the Belgian commentators talk about Roy Hodgson against Iceland and said, sorry, Iceland, I wish it was Ireland, said it was like watching a cow in a field, watching a train go past. That is, our role is not to be like that. He's there because of leadership, experience, intuition, and to take a risk. So give you 2 analogies from my background. One is you come in, and even in the induction process, you realise the strategic intent of the business is well out of kilter with the competency we got internally. Hence, both brand agency and digital agency were changed get-go from day 0 when I joined. Different to that might be to a degree utopia. Sainsbury's, new CEO. I head of advertising for 2 years. We'd really turned around the relationship with AMV. We had best in market scores. New CEO, won't mention Justin King's name, comes in, get rid of AMV, get rid of Jamie. Go through a pitch process. You end up with a very painful, emotionally difficult process and a long-standing business and a long-standing relationship. But a relationship with AMV came out of it and a product came out of it that endured for 10 years.
Very good.
Spot on.
Thank you.
Well done.
Spot on. So I'm going to ask Lee to follow that from your point of view.
Like all agency people, I think, especially in the front row here, we love pitching. It's nothing. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you put it really close to your mouth?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There's nothing better than putting on your armour and going into battle and proving that you can win. I think all of us love that. But I think there is a fine line between it being a necessary evil and actually something that can transform your business. And what we increasingly do these days is make some very clear decision-making quite soon in the process as to whether we want to pitch for that client. And I don't mean to sound arrogant at all, but the why becomes really important to us. If it is, and the market context has changed so much and clients are facing so many problems, I can really understand and empathize with the need to pitch. But if it is about a procurement process where there's a cost issue, as long as we're clear on that, that's fine. If it is about, I want to see a business case that transforms my business over the next 3 years, that's really exciting and that's really good. It's professional, it's clear, the objectives are clear. If it's that other wishy-washy stuff, we just feel like a change, or we've got a new change in CEO, or we do go about and we do question quite hard if that's good for our business or not, from a rel point of view, from a talent point of view, from the product point of view. So yes, we love pitches, but with a big but.
Yeah. Johnny.
That's what happens if you run over 1 minute. Perfect. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
You get one of these.
Right, I'll be quick then. I think the right time to pitch is as little as possible. And the primary reason for that is it's incredibly time consuming. When I'm at work, I always think, is this the most stamps I can sell with these resources? And the answer is rarely yes when you're thinking about pitching. So I think we do that as little as we can possibly get away with. And I think it takes us, I know it takes agencies an enormous amount of time to pitch, having done it, but it also takes clients a long time to make the case internally as to why you need to engage the procurement resource, which are often busy doing other things for you as well, and then to work through the process and sell that through the organisation and then induct a new agency. You add all that up, it's an enormous amount of time. And also, it might surprise you, but it's not always that much fun. I mean, you spend all day in a room and you've got, 4 or 5 people coming in one after another. You've got to stay engaged because it's disingenuous not to, but your day job's going on outside of that, and maybe 10% of what I do is marketing. So it's not always fun. So I avoid it. But there are times when you just have to, and it might be because you need a new skill. It might be because, as a last resort, the relationships hit the end of the road.
Thank you, Jonathan. Ian, Sniffy.
Thank you.
Carry on.
Well, I would say, as an agency person, the thing to do is try to build a business that doesn't need any new business at all. You know, attackers score your goals, defenders win your matches. It sounds quite lofty, and we all know that depending on the life stage that we're in, you know, it's somewhat unrealistic to say don't do any new business. But I think we all have to sort of break out of this sort of Stockholm syndrome and sort of realise it's an open market. The market dictates the terms, and you know, there's always going to be someone who's up for it. You know, there is never that much new business up for grabs anyway at any one point in time. And what I would just say is that in the same way that the client has a "shall we pitch this" button, I think the agencies have to remember they are part of the same market, and they should know that they have the freedom and power to exercise that also. And they're expensive, they're time-consuming, they're exciting, they can be game-changing. But you have to sort of look at it like, well, I'm not just looking for a one-night stand here, I'm looking for a marriage, and can I actually see myself working with this client in 3, 4, 5 years from now? What sort of work will we be doing? What difference will it make to my culture? What sort of work has happened as a result? Am I going to have to be pitched for it in 3 or 4 years, or what? So I think it's about recognising that we're all in this together. It's a free market.
Thank
Good
you.
one. Thank you. So now we can free fall it into the panel a bit. Anyone like to? Anyone points of view that, who weren't those four? Just like to chip in and say, add anything into that. Yes.
So I think, from my perspective, I don't think, and I think I'm probably speak for a lot of clients here, that the last thing you do, to your point, is you pitch. So I think it's the second, maybe the third, even the fourth chance with the existing agency when it's down to a relationship or inability to crack a brief. So it's never a decision one takes lightly. And I think, you know, the challenge for us is always to try and make sure that you do get an extra go. And if it is a long-term relationship that you've been fostering and has been successful, you know, there's often one extra chance of trying to squeeze something out rather than jumping ship too quickly.
Okay. This is Daryl.
I think I've generally pitched when I've been totally in the shit. There are commercial pressures to deliver. Those don't go away. You're often scared. You're incredibly accountable. It's a big decision. And I genuinely think agencies think we do it for our own amusement. And actually, that's absolutely, in my experience, not the case. It does take a lot of effort and time, and you're often under a lot of pressure and actually quite frightened.
Chris, there's some statutory reason why someone has to pitch. We'll come back to you.
I was
Please.
just going to add that it should be no surprise to a new agency that you are going to pitch. It shouldn't come out of the blue. Hopefully you've had quarterly business reviews, annual business reviews, and the pointers should be there. So
Yeah.
just adding that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd like to jump in on being in the shit thing. You know, no, it's interesting, isn't it? You quite often, having been on the agency side, you think the client's got a lot of the answers and it's testing you, but quite often the opposite's the case. And we're looking for inspiration. We're looking outside of ourselves for people who've got better ideas than the ones we've had and can stop us kind of going round and round in circles. And I think we'll come on to that later, the notion that really, in challenging us, we're going to get really interesting things out that we can't think of ourselves. You know, because quite often in the first round of talking about what might move the business on, you're going to come up with ideas that we've already had. But in pushing us and pushing you, the things that emerge are always way more powerful than we can come up with on our own. And that's definitely what you want to have a good pitch situation.
But shouldn't we be pushing the agencies anyway to do that? I mean, I think it's probably our job to make sure that it doesn't take a pitch to try and challenge their thinking.
I've been on the receiving end of some particularly bad briefs where actually it feels like you're at school and you're not getting pushed at all. And that there's a secret answer somewhere that they're not going to tell you or help you find, right?
Jason?
Just on that, I mean, I just think, you know, it's a relationship, and relationships should be dynamic. They should feel like they're moving and there's momentum. And I think, you know, in some ways, you know, the ability of an agency to respond to change and to create change, I think, is a really powerful thing. And if your agency isn't creating change and isn't responding to change, then there is no momentum, and that's a good time to kind of think about whether you need to change it up.
Jax?
That was going to be a point that I wanted to expand on as well. I think great relationships are built on clarity and honesty. And I think the client-agency relationship, if there's real clarity about what your partner wants from you, and if they want more, then often you can deliver that. And then there's that honesty if you can't, and actually another team needs to come in and collaborate. And I think that's the same in pitch processes, having really clear objectives and really understanding how what it is that you're doing is going to be measured is so important, because that's really where the great relationships come from, and that's really where the great work comes from. I mean, we've had some of our best relationships and longest relationships out of great pitches, but they start with really clear objectives and real honesty.
Rebecca?
Hi, I know this is supposed to be a debate, but I totally agree with the agency side. It's about the relationship. I think there are probably a few times where you have that real discussion with the incumbent agency and you know it's not working, and you know you are not going to get what you need, and you know the business objectives will not be met. And I think it is much kinder in the long term to make the call and go to pitch, realising what's coming ahead, and take that risk. Because, I mean, what's the Drucker saying? Marketing is the business seen from the customer's point of view. If these guys don't get where the customer's at, how are we going to win? So I know it's a debate, but agency, well done.
Good. Okay, I'm going to move on. Oh, yes, come on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, actually, sometimes from an agency perspective, the client relationship can be stagnating a bit, and we've had it before where we've actually asked them to almost call a pitch on us. So it's been an opportunity for us just to re-engage with their bigger strategic issues and actually put some thinking in front of them that perhaps they're just not buying in the day-to-day. And it's a bit of a brave move, I guess, when you're still in contract to say, look, put us to the test. But it's been a great way for us to just expose some of the clients who aren't buying our best work to actually really our best thinking and to try to buy some of that work.
Cool. Thank you for that.